Hi, I want to get a pass for the Intramural Activity Center this quarter, please.
Sure. I need to see your student ID card, please. Okay, thank you. Now, which type of IMA pass would you like to buy?
I don't know. How many different kinds of passes are there?
Well, there's the basic pass. That allows you to use the basketball courts, the fitness center, the racquetball courts, the rock climbing center, and the indoor track. An IMA Super Pass lets you use all those things and also the swimming pools, tennis courts, and golf driving range. Then we have, specialized passes for just the swimming pools and the fitness center.
Man, I didn't know this was going to be so complicated. So the basic pass includes basketball, the fitness center, racquetball, and, what else?
The rock climbing center and the indoor track. It costs $50 for the quarter.
And the Super Pass has all those things, plus swimming, tennis, and the golf driving range, right?
Yes, that's correct. The Super Pass is $75 for the quarter. It also permits you to use the IMA Center during the 2-week Christmas vacation if you're going to be here.
So the basic pass is $50 for the quarter, and the Super Pass is $75. But the Super Pass, it gives you 2 extra weeks. And you mentioned there were also special passes?
Yes, we have a swim-only pass for $35. This lets you use either one of our 2 swimming pools, plus the sauna and whirlpools in the locker room. There's also a pass for the fitness center only. It costs $40 and gives you access to all the weight machines and fitness machines, as well as the locker room sauna and whirlpools.
All right, let's see if I've got this straight. The swim pass is $35 and the fitness center pass is $40. And both of these include access to the whirlpools and saunas in the locker room?
Correct. Oh, and one other thing I forgot to mention is that the fitness pass includes a 15% discount on all of our IMA sports and fitness classes.
What kinds of sports and fitness classes do you have?
Oh my, we have several different kinds of dance classes, yoga, aerobics, swim conditioning, taekwondo. Here's a brochure with all the details.
Thanks. So these classes, there's an extra fee for them even if I have a Super Pass?
I'm afraid so, because we have to pay the teachers' salaries and the cost of equipment.
Okay, oh yeah. What about someone who isn't a university student? Is there some kind of pass they could buy?
No, I'm afraid not. IMA passes are only offered to registered students and faculty. Guests have to be accompanied by a student or faculty member. They pay $10 each time they come.
Can students pay the same way? I mean, each time they come?
Yes, but if you're going to come very often, it's better to buy a pass. The student price is $5 per visit. If you use the IMA even once a week, you'll save money buying a pass.
Well, thanks for all the information. There are so many choices, I can't make a decision right now. I'll think about it, then come back later in the week.
No problem. We're open Monday through Thursday from 8 to 12, then 1 to 4:30, and from 1 to 5:30 on Friday. If you have any more questions, you can call the phone number on the brochure. You've been reading this month about food chains and food webs. Today we'll discuss these in relation to seafood. How many of you like seafood? Most of you. So do I. In fact, I'm on a seafood diet. I see food, I eat it. Get it? Okay. But seriously, folks, today we're going to talk about trophic relationships in marine food chains and webs. Who can remind us what a trophic relationship is? Yes, Miss Lee.
It's what an organism eats and the things that eat that organism.
Very good. Trophic relationships describe the relationship between producers and consumers, so they help us diagram food chains and food webs. Now, in marine ecosystems, like other ecosystems, food is needed for matter, growth and reproduction, and for energy, metabolic processes within the body. Also, like other ecosystems, marine ecosystems have producers, consumers, and decomposers. The primary producers are autotrophic plankton. Autotrophic means these plankton can synthesize their own food. Autotrophs are consumed by heterotroph organisms. Hetero means other, so in this case, heterotrophic means organisms that can't synthesize their own food. They must rely on autotrophs for food energy. The primary consumers in marine food chains are the plant eaters, herbivores, and the secondary consumers are both the meat eaters, carnivores, and predators that eat both meat and plants, omnivores. The decomposers are heterotrophic bacteria, which get energy from body wastes and dead tissue, thus cycling it back to the producers. A simple marine food chain then might look like this. The top predator, trophic level number 4, is a herring. Herring fish eat level 3, carnivorous zooplankton. The carnivorous zooplankton eat trophic level 2, herbivorous zooplankton, and herbivorous zooplankton eat level number 1. Photoplankton, which is a type of autotroph. In marine food chains, energy transfer is not very efficient. Photoplankton utilize only about 1% of the energy available from the sun. Between 70 and 90% of the energy made by producers or eaten by heterotrophs is used in their bodies or expelled as waste. This leaves only 10 to 30% that is retained in the body's biomass and available for consumers at the next highest trophic level. Thus, the biomass at each trophic level is controlled by the efficiency of the energy transfer. At the lowest trophic level, animals will generally have high biomass, and there will be lots of small producers. At the highest trophic level, animals will generally have low biomass, and there will be only a few large animals. Now, let's expand our simple food chain into a food web. In this web, a herring is no longer a trophic 4 predator. There is a bigger fish, a tuna, that eats the herring. But there's even a bigger animal that eats the tuna, and that is...
us.
Yes, and there's something else from the seas that will even eat us.
Sharks.
Correct. A food web is more complex than a food chain. And then there are gigantic animals like whale sharks and baleen whales that are herbivores and only eat plankton. But let's focus for a few moments on us. What are the implications of trophic levels for the fish we eat? Well, looking at the fish harvest worldwide, 88% of the fish we catch are fish with fins. 8% are shellfish, and 4% are crustaceans. Fish caught in the open ocean, such as tuna, are high-level predators on an inefficient food chain. Fish caught in coastal waters, such as cod, herring, and haddock, are at the top end of shorter, more efficient food chains. This is because there's a high level of photoplankton, so consumers expend less energy catching food. These fish, then, provide more energy and better nutrition for us. In upswelling areas off the west coasts of America and Africa, the fish are even healthier. Here they are small, very efficient food chains, and the fish are small, fast-growing, eat lots of photoplankton, and travel in dense schools. 2 examples of such fish are anchovies and sardines. Good afternoon, Miss Pennington. You were in my American History 201 class, right? How can I help you today?
It's about my term paper. I know it's due next Monday, but I was hoping, I don't think I can get it done by then. Could I please turn it in by the end of next week instead? I have a really good excuse.
Oh, I'm sure you do. I've been teaching 33 years. Do you know how many excuses I've heard? My dog ate my paper. My roommate had a party so I couldn't concentrate. I have 7 papers due in the same day. I went home to see my parents and my car broke down. My favorite was a student who told me she forgot all about her term paper until the day before it was due. It's amazing she remembered to come to class.
I didn't forget, sir. I've been working on the paper, really. Here, I brought my outline and a rough draft. It's, just that, well, a lot of things have been going on in my life, and I'm having trouble managing things.
I see. You know, I assigned that paper 4 weeks ago, and I've been reminding students about it in each class. So tell me your story. What's happening in your life?
First, about 2 weeks ago, my roommate found out her mother is real sick. She has breast cancer. So she's been really upset, and I went home with her for a couple of days to see her mom. That caused me to miss biology lab, and I have a huge biology final coming up on Tuesday that I really need to study for this weekend. Then I got the flu last week and missed a day of class. I tried to work on your paper that day, but I felt really horrible.
Okay, I can understand that. I'm glad that you're helping your roommate through a tough time. That's more important than schoolwork. But all this seems to have happened recently. What about the 2 weeks after I first assigned the term paper?
I guess I didn't use that time very well. I kind of put off getting started on it.
Yes, you did. You know, if I had $1 for every time I heard a student say that.
I'm sorry, Professor Dalton. I've learned my lesson. If I had spent just a little bit of time each week on that paper, I could have had it done on time. I know now that I need to plan for unexpected things.
You seem like a bright, conscientious young lady, Miss... Your first name's Jill, isn't it? When I was a young student, an upperclassman gave me some advice that I've never forgotten. He said, you're going to find yourself with a lot of small gaps during school days, 15 minutes or half an hour. What you do during those gaps will make a big difference in how successful you are.
Wow, that's great advice.
Yeah, I thought so, and I still do. So I'll tell you what, you can turn your paper in no later than 9 a.m. on Friday, right here on my office desk. In exchange for this favor, I want you to pass that advice on to all your friends and dorm mates.
Thank you, Professor Dalton. You bet I will.
As long as you're here, let me take a peek at your outline and rough draft. Do you have any questions about the paper that I can help you with?
Good morning. Now, we've been asked to choose an aspect of European clothing or fashion and to talk about its development over time. I decided to focus on a rather small area of clothing, and that's pockets. I chose pockets for 2 reasons, really. We all have them in jeans, jackets, coats, for example. And even though we often carry bags or briefcases as well, nothing is quite as convenient as being able to pop your phone or credit card into your pocket. Yet, I suspect that, other than that, people don't really think about pockets too much, and they're rather overlooked as a fashion item. It's certainly very interesting to go back in time and see how pockets developed for men and women. In the 18th century, fashions were quite different from the way they are now, and pockets were too. If we think about male fashion first, that was the time when suits became popular. Trousers were knee-length only and referred to as breeches. The waistcoats were short and the jackets were long. But all 3 garments were lined with material, and pockets were sewn into this cloth by whichever tailor the customer used. The wearer could then carry small objects such as pencils or coins on their person and reach them through a gap in the lining. Coat pockets became increasingly decorative on the outside for men who wanted to look stylish. But they were often larger but plainer if the wearer was someone with a profession who needed to carry medical instruments, a doctor or physician, for example. The development of women's pockets was a little different. For one thing, they weren't nearly as visible or as easy to reach as men's. In the 18th and 19th centuries, women carried numerous possessions on their person, and some of these could be worth a lot of money. Women were more vulnerable to theft, and wealthy women, in particular, worried constantly about pickpockets. So, What they did was to have a pair of pockets made that were tied together with string. The pockets were made of fabric, which might be recycled cloth if the wearer had little money, or something more expensive, such as linen, sometimes featuring very delicate embroidery. Women tied the pockets around their waist, so that they hung beneath their clothes. Remember, skirts were long then, and there was plenty of room to hide a whole range of small possessions between the layers of petticoats that were commonly worn. They would have an opening in the folds of their skirts, through which they could reach whatever they needed, like their perfume. Working women, of course, also needed to carry around items that they might use for whatever job or trade they were involved in, but their pairs of pockets still remained on the inside of their clothing. They just got bigger or longer, sometimes reaching down to their knees. So, the tie-on pockets went well into the 19th century, and only changed when fashion altered towards the end of that period. That's when dresses became tighter and less bulky, and the pairs of pockets became very noticeable. They stood out too much and detracted from the woman's image. Women who had been used to carrying around a range of personal possessions, and still wanted to, needed somewhere to carry these items about their person. That was when small bags, or pouches as they were known, came into fashion, and, of course, they inevitably led on to the handbag of more modern times, particularly when fashion removed pockets altogether.